This is 17 Scoreboard, sponsored by Northwest Exteriors. Simply the best. Trust Northwest.
Hey everybody, welcome into a special webisode edition of 17 Scoreboard. Alongside Trevor Horn, I'm Anthony Vasquez, and we're going to be going through each local game in our playoffs. 7 brackets spread out across 6 divisions. Trevor, are you ready to go?
Oh, we were built for this.
All right, let's start things off with Division 1 AA. The Division 1 bracket is split up into 2 8-team brackets. Starting out locally, Liberty earning the 6th seed after a 7-3 season. Coach Bolin, his first year at the Pats, another league championship. 7th league title in 8 years. The Pats are going to get a rematch with Big Bad Central, a team they lost to 41-14 back in September.
And also a team that they saw twice last year as well, winning the regular season battle and then losing in the semifinals of Division I last year. And this is the 4th time since 2012 these two programs have met, both in the regular season and the playoffs.
The good news is this is a different Liberty team than it was back in September. Rob Smith, Jalen Murphy have really grown offensively.
Yeah, they've really solidified this offense over the last 5 weeks, putting Rob Smith as the quarterback. He is QB1 now. He was considered QB3 back then, and so now he's really solidified himself, really playing well. That offense looks great. The offensive line is probably the best in the city, and the defense is so stout. It's going to be a really good matchup, and it's very doubtful that it's going to look anything similar to that 41-14 matchup back on September 20th.
Look at how stacked this bracket is. I mean, you have Clovis East, Clovis North, Central a 3 seed. Who are the best 2 teams in this division?
Oh, it's definitely Clovis East, Clovis North, and that's a game that we saw last Friday. Clovis North ranked 25th in the state. Clovis East ranked 12th in the state. Powerhouse programs right now. It's going to be a tough order to get to that November 22nd championship. That's another thing that we have to look at as well. These are only 3 weeks, so this is only 18 bracket. They actually start this week along with everybody else, and then the winners of 1AA and 1A then get a bye after the section championships before the state playoffs, which I think is a really cool thing for that big program.
Give me some keys for Liberty. How do the Pats pull an upset and avenge back-to-back losses, back-to-back crushing losses to the Grizzlies?
I think it's 3 different things. It's controlling the line of scrimmage, it's not turning over the ball, and it's not allowing the big plays, which Central does week in and week out.
Here's Coach Bolin talking about the rematch with CHS.
Well, we're excited to be in the 1AA bracket because that's kind of what we've gone through with our off-season and season. I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to play the best. And we're excited about playing Central again because, you know, that last game left a bad taste in our mouth. Our kids are excited. Our coaching staff's excited. We're pumped up.
So there's 1AA. Now let's go to the other Division 1 bracket, Division 1A. 3 local teams in that one, including our first number 1 seed in Kern County. BHS, the Drillers, 9-1, 3-1 in the Valley League. One of the best seasons Coach Sheehy has put together. Last one, Valley in 2016. Drillers are trying to do that again this year as the number 1 seed.
And which is incredible that they're the 1 seed in this division, because for the last 4 weeks, we thought they were going to be a low seed in 1AA and have to go up to Clovis and either play Clovis East or Clovis North or even Central. That's not happening because what happened Friday night was Tulare Union's win over Tulare Western was a bigger strength of schedule game than BHS's win over Independence. So they actually flip-flopped. Tulare Union's now the 8 in the top division, BHS now the 1 here in 1A.
Elsewhere, bottom half of the bracket, the 3-seed Frontier. The Titans finishing 6-4, runners up in the River League, 3-1. They lost to Central in the Division 1 first round last year. Now Frontier favorites against Bullard.
What losing record in non-league? It's almost as if we've forgotten about that gauntlet of a schedule, the 1,600 miles that they traveled in August and September. Here they are, 5-game. They've won 5 of their last 6. The only loss coming to Liberty in that 25-20 loss. Titans playing really well. RJ Green really stepping up both sides of the ball. Logan Slayton has been a stud on the defensive side of the ball, and Brady Campbell is playing very well, and he's got 3 incredible receivers that he can throw to night in and night out.
Final game in Division 1A, a banged-up Centennial squad going up north to face Buchanan on a Thursday.
Yep, Thursday night. So here's a game. Buchanan, despite the fact that they were just 6-4 and 1-4 in the very tough track team, they are the number 2 seed here, and Centennial is going to have to go up there banged up. Obviously, Jet Santiago was out. It looks like they may have a couple other injuries right now. But it might be the best recipe for them to just get back on the field and play.
Let's talk BHS, the Drillers' best regular season finish since 2011. That year, the Drillers finished undefeated. What's been the key to BHS this season?
consistency in all three phases, being able to throw the ball, Elijah Cavazos at quarterback, the ascension of Brenton Brown at running back along with Bryson Abbott, and then that defense has been so opportunistic, and they've got so much speed in the receiving game and in the return game. The Drillers can really do it in all three facets, and that's why they're the 1 seed and the favorite to win this bracket.
Something that's key, Elijah Cavazos rarely turns the ball over. He gets it to his speedy wide receivers, guys like Harvey Rogers, BJ VC, the list can go on. Jalen
The
Ford.
fastest guy in the section, exactly.
Here's Coach Sheehy talking about BHS's road to the playoffs.
Like I said, it's just one more chance for our seniors to continue to play here. We do everything for our seniors to try to give them one more game. And to do it at home, what more could you ask for?
Let's talk a little bit now about the Frontier Titans. Coach Bandy has won at least one playoff game 2 of the last 3 years. How do they make it 3 out of 4 against Bullard Friday?
You play consistently, you play the way you've been playing the last 5 weeks, and that's a balanced offense and an opportunistic defense, because that's really what they've been doing. Bandy and his staff, they've really got those guys dialed in. They're scoring in all three phases routinely over the last month and a half. Really good. If they can continue this ball rolling, we may see an all-Kern County 1A championship. I know the teams don't want to look ahead to it, but we can do that, and that could possibly be Frontier at BHS in 3 weeks.
The good news about the Titans, they're finally healthy. Brady Campbell has dealt with the injury bug. Frontier lost their starting running back, Brady Durkin, early in the season. It looks like they made up for those injuries quite well.
Oh yeah, Karsten Campbell was out for a while, their starting center. They were just banged up. I know Kobe Watson was dealing with a hamstring injury at the beginning of the season. All of that is gone, and they're healthy at the right time, and that's what a lot of guys say, phase 3 of the season.
That's where you want to be, healthy at the right time. Here is Coach Bandy.
Yeah, it's awesome to be at home. That's what we were really hoping for, and we knew if we had beaten Centennial on Friday that we'd have a chance to host, and it worked out that way. And we're excited because we only had 4 home games this year, so it gives us our 5th home game, and I know our TNT section will show up and support us big time.
That's quite the student section name, the TNT section.
Right.
There's Division 1. Let's go now to Division 2, where Kern County has another top seed, and that is BCHS. The Eagles earn a first-round bye after rolling through the Valley League, beating BHS 8-2 this season. Coach Darren Carr and company, 8 league titles in 9 years. The Eagles have been rolling throughout the campaign.
Yeah, and they're no stranger to this. They've won 3 section championships under Carr. They've gone to 2 state championships. They won one in 2019. So this is a team that's built for this, and like we've talked about all year, this is a young team. Most of their superstars are all juniors, so this isn't going to be a one-and-done thing for them again. They're going to be good again next year, but right now as a 1 seed, and they're the first team that we've seen have a bye in this first week because the Central Section did the right thing. If you don't mind me getting into the weeds a little bit, they went to 12-team brackets in Division 2 and Division 3, and I think it was the smartest thing to do because what you saw is you saw teams like Madera, Rigetti, Garza, who had all been in the bottom of D2 are now high seeds in Division 3 in their base division, so they kept them where they are, and they went, you know what, let's keep this as competitive as possible, and they did it 12 teams. It allows the top teams to have a bye coming out of tough league schedules, and it gives those teams that are Division 3 bases that had good seasons, it's not punishing them by putting them in the bottom of D2, it's allowing them to be successful in Division 3, same thing for Division 4, and going all the way down the line. I think what the Central Section did is putting those 2 divisions, Division 2 and Division 3, just 12 teams like we see right now on the screen. I think you're going to have incredible games week in and week out, and you're not going to have these big blowouts that we've been seeing in the last few years in the opening round of the playoffs.
BCHS, Tulare Western, CVC, and Golden West get the first-round byes in Division 2. One team who doesn't, 12th seeded Tehachapi, the Warriors, undefeated in the Mountain League, 3 straight league championships under Chris Krempian. They'll head north to face Sunnyside.
Yeah, and that's a really, really tough matchup when you think about Sunnyside. On paper, they're 6-4 and only 5-2 in the North Yosemite League. But this is a team on the field, won all 10 games because they played a same player in the JV and a varsity on the same night.
I love it.
That's totally against the rules. They got caught. They had to forfeit 4 wins, including a win over Ridgeview, and McLean's only loss of the season. Another team we'll get to a little bit out of Fresno. Their only loss on the field. They've got a 10-0 record on paper because of that. So Sunnyside, very, very tough matchup. You feel bad for Tehachapi, especially we saw this out of them last year. They got to go back on the road again.
Well, there's nothing against that, right? The good old football doubleheader. That's 12-seeded Tehachapi playing the 5th-seeded Sunnyside. Finally, 11-seed Highland, led by Preston Mendez, visiting Slow.
Very tough matchup for the Scots. You got to hope that Austin Hernandez is back and healthy at running back, because that'll spell Nick Gonzalez back out to a split out back and allow him more time on defense. But Highland's got a really tough test. Slow playing one of the hottest teams in the Central section right now. Over their past 5 games, during a 5-game win streak, they've outscored their opponents 125-16.
Let's talk a little bit more about BCHS cruising in the #1 seed. The Eagles will host either Lemoore or St. Joseph next week. BCHS offensively, Lincoln Adama and Andre Calderon, their development, second-year varsity players have been huge.
Oh yeah, and they're starting to develop a little bit more of a run game. We've seen them scoring a little bit more on the ground, but you get those receivers going and then they play both ways, and so they're really opportunistic on the defensive side of the ball. This Eagle team is really set up for this, to go in a deep run right now through these playoffs.
A key weapon, you see him right there, Cohen Peters. He drilled a 40-plus yarder, hit the game winner against BHS. Special teams will be key for Darren Carr's squad. Here's what he had to say about winning another league championship.
It's a testament to our coaches and it's a testament to our players, man, and you know, the administration that gives us all the kind of support that we need, and but it's just a testament to what we do as a whole, right? And then building the men up from the ground, and not just worrying about wins and losses, but making sure these guys are good husbands and fathers and uncles and that stuff like that. That's our goal, and I think that kind of plays into why we have success.
Let's head to Division 3 now. That's where 6th-seeded Kennedy, a little bit of a surprise seeding for the Thunderbirds and Mario's Mion squad. Let's bring up the bracket. Kennedy will be the 6th seed. You see him in the bottom half of the bracket. Thunderbirds 6-4, another runner-up finish in the South Sequoia League. Ended the season winning 6 of 7 though after an 0-3 start.
So I did talk about how the Central section did the right thing by moving those 4 teams back and keeping them in their base division, Division 3. That's the reason Kennedy is the D6 team, because you had Madera, Rigetti, and Garza, who we all thought if they would have just stuck to Cal Prep's rankings alone, they would have stayed in Division 2 as a low seed, but here they are kind of, taking up those first 4 seeds along with Porterville. The #1 seed is actually a Division 4 base, but they're higher ranked in the Cal Preps rankings than any of these teams, so that's why they're the 1 seed as a D4 base in Division 3. All the others, like I talked about, Madera, Rigetti, Garza, they're all D3 bases, and that's why they kind of took that helm above Kennedy, and that's why the Thunderbirds are at #6.
The Thunderbirds are going to be playing 11-seed at Stockdale. It's been a tough year for the Mustangs. Chad Dial stepping in as the interim head coach for Duran Mackey since week 4.
And it's been a really tough last 2 weeks. They had to play Frontier and they had to play Liberty the last 2 weeks. Both shutouts. Have been shut out 5 times this year. They've got a freshman quarterback, and that's Coach Mackey's son. It's going to be a tough run for them. I think this is a very formidable, very opportunistic game for Kennedy to be able to get a win like this and maybe rest some guys in the second half of this game. This may be a blowout. It's going to be tough to tell. Stockdale just a 3-win team, and all 3 of those teams, 2 of them were winless this year.
The 3rd local team in D3, that's Independence. 4-6 on the year are the Falcons, entering the postseason losers of 5 of 6 though.
Yeah, but they get their #1 player, Ricky Johnson, back, who's been out for a month and a half with a broken bone in his leg. Starting outside linebacker, starting running back, really a captain on both sides of the ball. Him and Gunter Gola kind of really leading this team right now. They're young, they're playing very well, and Independence is going to look, again, this is Paul Gola, who on Saturday told me that he was scouting BCHS stats because he thought he was going to be the 16th seed in D2. And again, the whole thing about the 12-team bracket, it benefits a team like Independence because now they get a home game in the first round against Napomo on Friday night.
Let's talk about Coach Mion's squad a little bit more. The Thunderbirds are led by one of the leading rushers in the Central section. You see him right there, J.C. McCoblin.
Yeah, actually #2 in the Central section against his league foe, Hammy Lopez, who we'll get to in just a second. That's a very formidable team. Again, they run the ball so well, and they've got a passing element in there. And again, a lot of these teams that are really good, they're also very opportunistic. They do a really good job of getting the ball back on defense and not allowing other teams to score. So could be another deep run for Mario Mion once again.
You want to get hot at the right time? That's what the Thunderbirds are. Winners of 6 of 7 after an 0-3 start. The good news is J.C. McCoblin is healthy.
Yeah. He had a scare last year. He had a little bit of a leg injury earlier in the year, but he's back running and obviously #2 in the Central section in rushing yards, which means he's doing something great. And he's a big, bruising guy, hard to bring down.
Here's Coach Mion.
About being home, we were hoping to have 2 home games. but now we got to get through this first game, and we have Stockdale coming up, so we're excited about the opportunity to play them. We always like playing teams that we haven't played, and the last time we played Stockdale, they beat us, and so it's for some of our guys that are seniors, they remember that game, so they're excited about playing them.
Let's talk a little bit more about Paul Gola's squad.
Yeah.
First year at Independence, it's been a bit of a rocky one, 4-6 start, but the good news is, you mentioned it earlier, Ricky Johnson comes back.
Yeah, and you look at what Ricky can do on both sides of the ball, more importantly on defense, because then it spells a few of the other guys back to their natural position. Rylan Denwee, just a sophomore, been playing so great. Mason Smith defensively. They're doing such a great job. Amir Smith, A.R. Rao, Angel Corona, all of those guys are two-way guys, really moving the ball well. And Gunter Gola, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the city this year. Independence Falcons, the one thing about Paul Gola is he always makes sure his teams are geared up for the playoffs. The big thing for the Falcons is, can they solidify this O-line? Can the O-line give Ricky Johnson and Ja'Kai Irvin time to run the ball and then allow Gunter Gola a little bit more time in the pocket? Because if that happens, he can find those speedy guys downfield, and Ricky Johnson and Irvin can kind of do their thing running the ball as well. So they could get a win or two here in the playoffs.
Independence is going to play Napomo. If the Falcons win that, they'll be at Madera. We caught up with Coach Gola. Here's what he had to say about his potential postseason run.
It was exciting. It really was, especially a home game for the fans and for the kids, and in a great bracket, great for CIF. I don't know all the bylaws. I don't know all that. It's way above my pay grade, but what a great decision they made and what they did this year with the brackets. I think they were spot on.
Great minds think alike. Gola and I both said they did a great job. Now he's saying it selfishly because he gets a home game on Friday night rather than traveling.
Did these coaches offer you breakfast when you visited their house?
No, they wanted me to bring them breakfast.
He was the traveling man.
Oh yeah, and it was actually really enjoyable to be able to do this. It was something that you and I talked about on Saturday. I was like, nobody ever gets reaction of them after the brackets are out before the game starts. I said, you know what? I know most of these guys. I know where they live, or they're on campus. Like Adam Levinson, as we'll see later, was actually on campus. Richard Sterrett was on campus. But I went to their houses. A lot of them don't live too far away from me. Walked in. They were very cordial. They enjoyed it, and so we did it, and it was fun.
Here's the Division IV bracket. We started out with some local teams. A third #1 seed for Kern County, the Shafter Generals, the only team who gets a bye. Coach Perucci, death, taxes, and an electric, high-efficient offense.
And it doesn't matter if they run the ball or throw the ball this year. It really doesn't matter. Ezekiel Osborne, 7,000 passing yards in his career and is just a junior back. He's got a game and a half under his belt before going into the playoffs. Marion Sloan really fit the bill, rushed for almost 1,000 yards in those 6 games that he played quarterback. He's back in his natural position, also playing on defense. The Generals are ready to do this again, and their biggest thing right now is forget the pass. Don't worry about Orland and losing in the rainy, muddy weather, and don't worry about last year losing to Torres with the illegal receiver on that final play in the semifinals in Division IV. They need to just think about themselves, play every week, move forward.
Shafter could be facing a local team, though. That is the 8th-seeded North. What a job Adam Levinson has done in his first year at the Helmet North.
Bradley Dockery was a linebacker and a backup running back last year.
And now
turn him into a quarterback. He's not a thrower, but he's a general, and he can run the ball, and he's been doing it great, and he leads that offense. And North, 5-5 right now. Adam Levinson, he's just so ecstatic right now.
Another team in Division IV, that's local, 13th-seeded Wasco, the defending Valley and regional champions. They did that as a 2-seed last year. Now they're a 13 playing shorthanded.
Yeah, Hammy Lopez will not play in this game. It was official on Saturday. He had 2 personal fouls, 2 unsportsmanlike conducts, and the rule is if you have 2 unsportsmanlike conduct calls in a game, despite if it's a rivalry game or not, you're suspended for the next game, so he will not be able to play against McLean this week for the Tigers.
Bottom half of the bracket, 10th-seeded South, best full season since 2016 for Coach Mills and company. That year they made the Valley quarterfinals, a win away from matching that this year. The Spartans are led by Josh Encinas, 24 total touchdowns this year.
Yeah, but the problem here, though, is the 2.5 to 3 hour bus ride that they're going to have to take up to Dos Palace, one of the longest drives you're going to do in the Valley portion of the section. And Dos Palace has 4 losses, but those 4 losses have come to teams that are combined 36-4, one of them being the 1 seed, Shafter.
Let's talk about Shafter a little bit more. Generals 31-7 combined the last 3 years. Most of those wins this year came without Ezekiel Osborne. Marion Sloan has done an excellent job filling in under center for them, though.
He did.
It speaks to the rivalry. We knew they were going to come out and do a lot of things in the first half, and we were going to take their best shots. the thing that I'm kind of disappointed with our guys is we got caught up in a lot of crap and extended drives for them, and that can't happen. That's got to be keeping your cool.
Coach Perucci doesn't want to get anybody caught up in the nonsense, right?
But that's what he was talking about. When you get a rivalry game like Shafter-Wasco, 97 meetings, there's no love lost between those two when they get on the field. And so there was a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct going on in that game just because it's so heated. And there's, there's good and bad to it, and it's just part of what it is, and it's just unfortunate that we don't get to see Jaime Lopez, the Central Section leader in rushing this year with over 1,600 yards, not be able to play. But if the Tigers aren't able to get through McLean, the silver lining here is only a junior.
Let's talk about North a little bit more. The 8th seed in Division 4, a team that Shafter could be playing in 2 weeks. First time hosting a postseason game since 2021. We were a little bit unsure about, can North replace Richie Bolin? They've done that, and some of Coach Levinson. He's a rising star.
There were a couple of things that really kind of stood out to me. The fact is, when they lost to Stockdale in week 1, 13-7, you kind of looked and said, oh, he's bringing in a stout defense. He's holding teams. And then you saw that BHS game where they held a 17-7 lead and jumped on the Drillers early before BHS was able to go on a 35-0 run. But they showed that they could play with big boys, and then these wins, especially the overtime win against South, showed that they're a formidable team. Now they've won 3 in a row, and they got a head of steam going into the playoffs.
They're hot at the right time, including that upset win against South in overtime. That is a program-changing win, a program-defining win for Levy.
Well, especially when you do it on senior night, home, all your fans and alumni. Yeah, it's big time.
Coach Levinson, your thoughts?
So, I mean, what an honor for us, and what a big thing for our campus and for the culture of our campus, for our fans and for this community to be able to have a home playoff game. We're just unbelievably excited for this opportunity.
So there's a quick crash course on Division 4. Let's go to Division 5. 8-seeded Arvin. Shout out to the Bears. Robert Riley, first league championship since 2006. Arvin's going to be hosting a postseason game against Santa Ynez.
5-game win streak for the Bears. Right. And they found a run game. They're averaging over 200 yards a game over the last 4 weeks. So you get that Andrew Rosales, Xavier Brooks connection in the pass game. And then you got 3 different guys that can run the ball. I mean, LeBron Gonzalez. The team is stacked. The Bears are playing well. Robert Riley, in just his 3rd year as a head coach, after taking over for Edgar Maris, who's still around as an assistant principal there. Fantastic culture there in Arvin, and they're doing a great job.
A second local team in Division 5, that is 6th-seeded Delano, taking on Fowler.
Yeah, Frank Gonzalez has got his team rolling again. Remember, they were 4-1 at one point in the season, and then you get in the SSL, and you got tough games in there, Shafter, Kennedy, Wasco. Those are tough losses for them. But the Tigers are there, and they're going to host my dad's alma mater and the Fowler Red Cats, who are 8-2 and 4-2 in their league. 6 league games. Think about that. There's a big league there for the Red Cats.
The Red Cats.
But Delano, a home game. So you got 2 home games in Delano this week.
Delano looking for its first playoff win since 2021. Let's talk a little bit more about Arvin trying to go for 8 wins in a season for the first time in at least 20 years. And if they're going to do that, make some school history, Xavier Brooks is going to have to be huge. Yeah,
Arvin's riding a hot hand, 5-game win streak to end the regular season. The Pirates' wins have come over 3 losing programs this season, just 3 wins for Santa Ynez. And like I said, Arvin being at home is a great recipe for success. And they're not just relying on the pass game. The run game's there. The defense is playing stout. Really good Bears team.
This could be some players. Xavier Reynoso, LeBron Gonzalez, Xavier Brooks.
Xavier Brooks, 1,064 receiving yards in the regular season. That's phenomenal.
Andrew Rosales, too, the lefty quarterback.
Yeah, I love a lefty quarterback. It's a different look.
Arvin entering uncharted territory, trying to go for those first 8 wins in at least 2 decades. So that's it. We've rolled through Division 5. Let's get into our final division. Division 6, we have a lot of local teams there. Starting out up top, the 8th seed Golden Valley and Coach J.D. Thompson hosting Boron.
Yeah, James Kane, great quarterback for the Golden Valley Bulldogs, doing a great job getting a home game. This is kind of fun when you look at this game. You got 2 Kern County teams playing against each other. People kind of forget that Boron Bobcats are still in Kern County up there in the high desert. 2 common opponents for these 2 are the reason that the Bulldogs are hosting. Both of them lost to Arvin by a score, but the Bobcats lost 27-20 to Del Oro, while Golden Valley beat the Suns by 2 scores. So that's why you see Golden Valley as 8 and Boron the 9 in here. Great chance for them to have a home game, at least one more game. Looking like Minarets is going to be obviously the winner in the first round against Tranquility. But good for James Kane to be able to get those guys a road game because it's been a little bit of a tough season after having such a great season last year.
Miramonte at Kern Valley in the 5-12 matchup,
which is a rematch from September 20th with Kern Valley winning by 3 points.
Should be a close one.
Yep.
Bottom half of the bracket, 7th seed Granite Hills against 10th seeded Foothill. You can argue that the Trojans could be favorites in that one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they could win this game. I think Chris Weddle has done such a great job with this team. 10 seed doesn't matter. This is a good matchup for Foothill. 2 teams separated by just 3 spots in the Cal Preps rankings. A lone common opponent was Miramonte. Both teams actually beat the Lions. Chris Weddle's done a great job, and I think the Trojans actually have a really good chance here.
Finally, McFarland making the playoffs as an independent team.
Yeah, went 4-6 this year. Kind of just traveled all over, a little bit of a vagabond, right, if you will. Goodness. And now they're going up to Corcoran, who was 6-4 in that same ESYL as Lindsay, who Rosamond is playing in the playoffs. Another Kern County team. So, I mean, we got a lot of teams from Kern County playing. We got a lot of football. We got a game on Thursday.
Look at how much notes we have. I mean, are we invested in this or what?
Sicko mode.
Right? Yep. We're sickos about this. Well,
I've enjoyed it. I love this stuff, man.
Ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Thursday is when they start Buchanan and Centennial, and then a whole bunch of games on Friday. Well, that's it for our 17th Scoreboard webisode, everybody. Playoffs are on their way. I'll see you Friday for our highlight show. Trevor, Artal Littlejohn, and I will be back in studio Sunday to recap all the action. Have a great week, everybody.